Hi, I'm Brian Crombie, and we're going to be talking on The Brian Crombie Show. We're going to be talking about politics, arts, business, and social issues on The Brian Crombie Show on Canada One TV. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Brian Crombie Hour on Canada One TV. It's a real pleasure for me to introduce you tonight to an incredible artist, and it's interesting because it's a different kind of a skill than might typically be thought of as an artist. I want to introduce you to Monika Onoszko, who is a costume designer. Fascinating career, but it's interesting because she's really an interdisciplinary artist. She graduated from the Academy of Fine Arts in Poland. Her fields of work include fashion, journalism, teaching, costume design for film, theater, furniture design, traditional graphic techniques. And in her home country of Poland, she worked for the biggest and most prestigious theaters, including the National Opera and the Ballet, the National Theatre, and others. She won a national award for the best costumes in a film in 2018 in Poland, and that's the field that she's now exploring and exploiting here in Canada. Monika, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me. That's a huge pleasure to being here.
What a fascinating career. How did you get into costume designs and costume designs for film?
Well, so I started as a fashion designer. That was my major subject at the Academy of Fine Arts, and I had my own fashion brand. But every year I was getting some offers from the theaters to design costumes, and every year it was like more and more. So like slowly I started switching to costume design in theater. And then suddenly one of my friends came to me and said, listen, there is a very famous Polish director, obviously I knew him, Jan Jakubkolski, and he's looking for a costume designer, and I can't promise anything, but I can introduce you to him. And I said, wow, fantastic. So he introduced me to this director. I didn't have film experience at all at that time. And that director, he hated theater, which I was like mostly present. Yep. But we had a conversation, and he just had a feeling that I understand the difference between like theater costume and film costume, right. And we resonate.
What is the difference between theater costume and film costume?
Oh, so film costume should be very authentic. It resembles the real life.
Right.
And theater can be like exaggerated, right. Like it's more like symbolic. So it doesn't have to have anything to do with the real life. So, and
that's interesting. It doesn't have to do anything with real life, but in film it should be real life because you're...
Yeah, that's right. Many times we say like in theater you have costumes, in film you have clothes.
Really? That's interesting, okay. And so which do you prefer, film or theater?
Well, honestly, I prefer theater.
Really?
But like I'm working in film.
Now, I know that you do costumes for some performers, musical performers. Is that like the theater, that you have exaggerated costumes in musical performance, or do you wear clothes?
Yeah, it's something like in between. Like you can do whatever you want in the music videos. Mm-hmm. You can use some symbolic statements like in theater, but many times you just want to show like who the person really is, like or how to want to show to the world. So
you want to show how the person really is. That's interesting. What do you mean by that? You want to be authentic? You want to... What do you mean by
like
show?
Show the personality through the look of the person.
And how do you show someone's personality through the look?
Well, so it depends from the personality.
Okay, well, let's compare you versus me. What are you trying to show with your look tonight? Did you think about your look, or did you just sort of put something on?
Well, you know, that's like I didn't put anything special for this occasion.
But your hair and makeup
and
makeup are perfect, and you're wearing a bright top. Is there significance to that?
No, I'm just emphasizing my assets, mm-hmm. and trying to not showing my weak points. You know, I'm just trained in fashion, so.
So when I'm not wearing a costume when I'm being a MC of an interview show, but I try to represent myself as I want people to perceive me, and so therefore I'm wearing a shirt. Now I've rolled up my sleeves. Probably that's not appropriate, but it is hot out. But I wouldn't wear a T-shirt or a tank top to a show like this, and I would often, not in the summertime, but I would often wear a jacket, and so I guess that's sort of my costume. I want to be perceived as presenting that kind of a persona. Is that true?
Yeah, exactly. It's absolutely true. And I wouldn't say it's not appropriate because you roll up your sleeve, because you look professional, but you want to
be a little relaxed.
A little bit relaxed, right. Yeah. So your guests are also feeling
But it's interesting because I think a lot of people don't think when they're not being interviewed necessarily, but job interviews, or when they're on social media, or when they're doing a Zoom call, what the persona is that they're presenting. And they just wear whatever they're wearing rather than thinking about it and making sure that they're presenting what they want to present.
But there is always a clothing choice, like even people which are saying I'm wearing whatever. They're wearing something like this, they will probably never wear something what I'm wearing, right?
So what makes a great costume designer?
That's a difficult question, but I think mostly understanding of the character of the person you want to show in a film or theater or whatever, and just find the connection between this personality, and to find how to emphasize this personality through costume.
In the Academy Awards, they often will show, when they do the best costume design, sketches of the costume. Do you sketch out things before you design them?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do.
So are you an artist as well as a costume designer?
Yeah, yes, I am. Well, I'm actually doing a lot of artwork, but when I design costumes, mostly for theater, then I do sketches and I design a lot. For film, when I do contemporary film, I usually just create mood boards for the directors and producers.
What is a mood board?
So it's I'm imagining the characters which I need to present in the film, and I'm looking for the pictures in the internet which are showing the style which I want to achieve in this character, and I'm putting many of these pictures in one board for one character, and I show them to the producer or the director or both of them, and then we have
a mood board, and then the director will look at that, you'll discuss it, and you'll agree whether or not that's the right mood.
Yes.
I love that idea. So I'm a real believer in vision boards. For careers and where you want to go in life. A mood board makes a lot of sense. It's a storyboard for the film.
Yeah,
what a great idea. We're going to take a break and come back more in a minute with Monika and talking about costume design, and she's got a breadth of other artistic experiences. Stay with us. Hi, I'm Brian Crombie, and we're going to be talking on The Brian Crombie Show. We're going to be talking about politics, arts, business, and social issues on The Brian Crombie Show on Canada One TV. Welcome back to The Brian Crombie Show on Canada One TV. A real pleasure of mine. If you've listened so far, you've undoubtedly been as engaged as I have with Monika Onoszko, who is a costume designer, but you're also into a lot of other things as well. I understand that you've got a new Instagram account where you're posting a whole bunch of art. Tell us about this.
Yeah, well, so, I was always doing some graphic stuff. Well, mostly when I was in Poland, I was doing like wood block printing because
wood block printing.
Yeah,
really.
That's something what I was learning not only in Academy of Fine Arts but also when I was living in Japan, because this is the kind of Japanese art.
Right.
But now I'm doing mostly lino cuts.
What are lino cuts?
Lino cut. You have a board of lino, like it's a soft material, and you're just carving in it, like the design which you draw first, and then you put the ink on it, and then you print it on a paper.
Really?
So, yeah.
And this is what you're doing on this new Instagram account, where you're showing a lot of these pieces of art.
Yes, because when I'm evolving. My life is also evolving, and I need more space for myself. And film work, it's very, very demanding.
Yeah.
Like when I'm working in film, there is no space for anything else. So I'm just trying to work a little bit less in film and do a
Other
bit
stuff.
of art. Yeah.
So you mentioned Japan. You spent a couple of years in Japan, I understand.
Yes,
What?
I spent 3 years in Japan. I studied kimono design there.
Kimono
Yeah.
design. What, like, this is amazing. You see, you're performing, you're doing costumes for the National Ballet and the National Theatre in Poland, and
Yeah.
then you go to Japan to study kimono design.
Well, that was first. First was Japan.
What a fascinating, and what did you learn? Was it a great experience? Where did you live, in Tokyo?
Oh, it was amazing experience. I travel a lot of Japan, like most of Japan.
Do you speak Japanese?
I did speak Japanese, but that was 20 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So
You look 20. I can't believe that was 20 years ago.
thank you. So my Japanese
Not the same.
it's not the same exactly.
But kimono, do you still design kimonos today?
So the original plan wasn't to like design kimonos all the time. I just wanted to know the art and incorporate it to my like European fashion.
Yep.
So when I was creating my own brand, I was using these Japanese inspirations for my collections. And I'm using this inspiration like all the time and everywhere. I was so inspired there.
Now let me ask you a question. Let me back up for a second if I could. A lot of people that watch my show are from diverse communities. They're immigrants to Canada. They've come here from around the world. And a lot of them are artists. Yeah. For an example, the producer of our show tonight is an unbelievably good vocalist.
Wow.
In Urdu, his native language. What was it like coming to Canada and trying to make your way in Canada with your Polish experience? Was that challenging? Was that difficult? How did you do it?
Well, it was a challenge. Always, every change in your life, it's a challenge. And I was ready to start from scratch. I was ready to, climb this ladder from the bottom. But then I came here and I realized that I don't have to, that I realized that people appreciate my experience from there, and they are ready to give me a higher position. So I started my first film here. I started already as a costume designer. So I didn't had to climb this ladder in terms of position. But my first films here were like really artistic with talented people, but
right.
they were very low pay. So I had to work a lot to put bread on my table.
Right. So why did you come to Canada? Why not stay in Poland?
Canada, it's a great country to raise kids, I think. So, and my country became more and more difficult with like extremely right-wing politics. And but the story came with my father, because my father is an astrologer, and he was always telling me like, oh, you should move to Canada, that's the best place for you. And I was like, what are you talking about? I don't know people in Canada. I don't have any connections. Like, I didn't even been there. So that's a stupid idea. I'm not going. And when the the politics start to be kind of difficult in Poland, and I think in entire Europe. I was just considering where to move, and I just realized that Canada is probably now the best place to live. And I have a daughter, so I wanted to give her very like free and positive thinking place to grow up.
Right.
And I think like Canadian values like no judgment, like freedom and tolerance are my values too.
No judgment, freedom, tolerance.
Yeah.
And wearing good clothes.
Of course.
Well, that's great. So let me ask, what's your dream? Do you want to do your own theater show? Do you want to do a big movie, or you want to design another kimono? What's the big dream that you've got?
So currently my big dream is switch a little bit my life into art, but not resign completely from film. I would like to make like 2-3 films in a year, and the rest of my time spent with the family and doing my art.
Right, and the art is this, what do you call it, the
Lino Cut?
Lino Cut.
Yeah.
That's the art that you want to do.
Yeah, that's what I like. But I also paint, like I do a lot of stuff. But this is something
Well, I'll have to recommend you check out a show that I've done on this channel with my mother, who is an art and archaeology expert, and she's done 5 shows now on art appreciation, and so you should check that out. It's been a real pleasure meeting you and chatting about costume design and being authentic and making sure that you're presenting the persona that you want to present, and your art. And I love your description of why you wanted to come to Canada, about freedom and the tolerance, and you can be who you want to be. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Brian. Thanks.
Well, that's our show for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. Good night, everybody.